Hi, and welcome again to the video corner of the Grants View section. And today we are interviewing Tiffany Kessler from Bruce Dean and Manasovitz. She's a partner with them. And we just want to ask some questions today to find out what she expects to see for the rest of 2019 as we go further with grants.
Hi everyone, happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm actually coming to you from the National Grants Management Association's annual conference, and we just heard from the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, on some of their upcoming initiatives, which I think brought up a lot of interesting points as far as the future of grants. Specifically, they mentioned coordinating their data collection efforts and how they plan to use that coordinated data in the future. One of the things that I noted that I thought was very interesting was they received 11,000 comments on the data as far as how best to coordinate data across agencies, and they admitted how difficult that would be from an implementation standpoint. One example they gave actually from HHS was just in what they call the notice of award. He was saying that just in HHS alone, there are 22 different notice of awards. And that had me thinking, even of what we call a notice of award. In some granting agencies, it's a notice of grant award or a NOGA. In other granting agencies, it's called a grant award notice. So when we look at the way data is even being discussed, the terminology is so vast across the different agencies. So I think that undertaking it's going to be interesting to see how that undertaking is being implemented in the upcoming year. Along those lines, one of the hopeful outcomes they have at OMB is to see how they can use performance to change the way we're looking at compliance. And we've heard this discussed generally, but one of the things they specifically said that if they can look at recipients who have sound performance measures, that they will use that as a way to decrease compliance expectations, which I thought was really interesting as far as how maybe successful performance may result in less compliance review. Another thing that OMB mentioned, which I think will be critical for this upcoming year, are changes to the compliance supplement. Right. And when we talked about this back in November, I got a little bit more clarification on what that means. We still have the 11 compliance structures in the compliance supplement, the 11 elements. But what each federal agency will be doing in this next compliance supplement is focusing on 6 out of the 11 that they want reviewed. So I asked practically how this would work. Would they simply include the 6 in the compliance element? What I have learned is that they will be including all 11 in the compliance supplement, but noting which 6 each federal agency wants to be a focus on for the upcoming year. My concern is that your auditors will still look at all 11 because all 11 are still in the compliance supplement, and I sort of said, would an auditor be limited to those 6? And the information from OMB said no. So I'm not really sure how practically that will reduce the auditing in the upcoming year, but it will be interesting to see what the compliance supplement says when it's released, which they said would be, quote, very soon. So we'll see. We'll see when that comes out.
That's true.
Yeah.
So what do you think is one good practical tip that you could give to grantees out there to help them manage their grant programs?
So I would say, given the initiatives that are being shared by OMB and other organizations, I have 2 tips. And the first is I do think it's critical to continue to do a self-assessment on your own performance. You can utilize the compliance supplement, but I do think, given that the 6 will just be emphasized, but 11 elements still remain, I do think you have to assess your compliance under all 11 elements. I talk a lot about doing a control self-assessment or an internal review. Remember, it's not only required under the Uniform Grants Guidance, but it's also a just strong internal control to assess your own performance. The other recommendation I have is don't be fooled by the discussion of strong performance could reduce compliance, because I still think that the compliance piece is going to be critical. And I think that if you have successful performance, it won't eliminate your compliance piece. It doesn't mean you no longer have to comply with all of the elements in the Uniform Grants Guidance. So I do want to make sure I think that balance still exists moving forward. So absolutely focus on your own internal compliance, and then look to see what changes may come from the outside agencies and your auditors.
Those are some good tips. Well, we appreciate you watching today, and come back and see what we have for our next video.
Happy
Thanks
to
a
be here.
lot.
Thank you.
Bye.